This is a 102.7 FM Toowoomba original podcast.
Welcome everybody to my podcast, Big Little Small Talk. I'm Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and I love to talk, but I also love to listen. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to Big Little Small Talk. My name's Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and we're here with Louis Gilshenan, who is a Toowoomba vet or a veterinarian. Is that what we say, Louis?
Just a vet, I think, yeah.
You're not doing a vet course as in an apprenticeship or something?
No, that was a while ago. Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Now listen, how does one become the ABC vet specialist with Dennis O'Hara, who happens to be my husband, and we were lying in bed last night and I rolled over and said to Dennis, hubby, what should I be asking Louis?
Well, Dennis I still see Dennis's animals, and one day just asked if I wanted to help him out down at the ABC, and so away we went.
Right. I'm not really married to Dennis. Because I used to say to Dennis, does anyone ever ask you whether you're related to me? And he goes, no. And I said, does anyone, he said to me, does anyone ever ask you? And I said, no. But we call each other husband and wife.
No, I've seen Dennis. I've known Dennis for probably 20 years, yeah.
What sort of animals does Dennis have? Not that this is an interview about Dennis.
Dennis used to have lovely Cocker Spaniels. Now he's got little Shih Tzus, little Shih Tzu cross. Yeah. Do
you, Louis, if you see people down the street, you might not remember their name, but you know what sort of animal they've got?
Yeah, quite often. You'll particularly when you see someone out of context, it can be a bit hard to remember. And I'm often calling people by their pet's name, which is a bit embarrassing. Yeah.
Tell me, when you did the ABC, how did that work? Did people ring up and ask you questions, or were there questions already sort of they'd written in? Or
initially it was very much a talk back, and then as the years went on and the internet sort of took over, it became probably more answering questions that had been emailed in. There was probably less actual talk back. They probably had an issue there. They were getting the couple of old ladies with dementia and that just kept ringing in with the same thing each week, so they had to intervene, I think.
Oh wow! So can you remember what was sort of the themes? It was all sort of dogs, cats.
All dogs. Mainly dogs and cats. Mainly just itchy dogs, and a lot of people offering me advice as well.
Like what sort of thing?
Garlic fixed everything. That was probably one of them.
Does it?
No, it doesn't. They'd often sort of lament how ineffective certain parasite controls were, and but no, a lot of talk about sort of itchy dogs and dogs with sort of gastrointestinal problems, lumps and bumps and things. It was a good mix.
Did you ever get stumped? Did you ever think, oh God, I don't know the answer to that?
Not really. It was all fairly basic stuff. We weren't reinventing the wheel, Dennis and I.
Yeah. And can you remember sort of, did anyone ever have any sort of like lizard questions or snake questions?
No, I don't think I did on the ABC. You get those periodically at work, but I don't remember any. Actually, I had a few friends who'd ring up with things like that. Yeah.
Just to sort of stir you up a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. And did you ever think that it was a friend?
I did. As soon as they came through, I thought, oh, this is a.
Did you? But were you ever sort of? Sorry, Mrs. Brown. No, I don't.
No, I never got to that stage. You'd see them come through, and I'd give Dennis the nod that I thought that was someone who was just trying to have a lend of us.
All right. I'll tell you a story quickly. That my sister did that to my other sister, and said that. Pretended to be the principal of the school and said, you better come and get your kids because they've got nits. And so my sister ran up to the school and got them, but saw the principal, and she realised that she'd been played a joke on.
Yeah.
It's a sore point, yeah.
With the girls at work, I'll often ring them pretend to be someone else, and there have been a couple of times where they thought it was me on the phone and it wasn't. So
right, you have to be a bit careful, that's right. So, I mean, I've heard people describe you as like a counsellor, or sort of, that people come to see you not just for their vet problems. Is that a fair enough call, do you think?
It is, particularly in the general practice. We've got they're very different. That we've got the emergency and the general practice, and the general practice is probably more rewarding from the perspective of actually having a relationship with your, I suppose they're clients, but a lot of them end up as friends, whereas you're seeing them over and over again. Whereas in an emergency situation, you're often dealing with people only once or twice, often the higher levels of anxiety and stress. So no, I've developed wonderful sort of relationships with people over 20 years through the general practice, and it's amazing. These people were sort of young adults when you first saw them, and now they've had children, and some of them their children have had children, and you start to think, gosh, everyone's getting a bit old here.
Not you, but
No.
yeah, everyone else is getting old.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Because they talk about the stresses of being a vet and the sort of the pressure that people put on you, particularly if you have to, the cost of surgery and the cost of euthanizing, and how do you cope with all of that?
Yeah, I guess I've been doing it long enough that I don't have as big a problem with it as some of my associates, and I often say to them that it's not a veterinary exclusive problem, that one. I mean, when's the last time you went anywhere and thought that something was reasonably priced? And most people, people aren't driving around in Mercedes-Benz. I mean, the cost of living has gone through the roof, but the cost of providing a service has as well. I mean, if people knew the fortnightly wages expenses that came out of a 24-hour veterinary clinic, you'd be absolutely shocked, and for good reason. I mean, if you've got someone who's prepared to be awake and working at 2 o'clock in the morning to look after your pet, then they need to be paid for that. And I can tell you they're not paid extravagantly, but it's an amazing service to have someone to look after your animal, but it does come at a price.
So tell me, I want to explore that a little bit more, but you say about the 24-hour clinic. So are you the only 24-hour clinic here in Toowoomba?
We are. There's a couple of other clinics do some of their, when I say their own after hours, their general practice clients might ring them and go to a message, and periodically they'll be seen. Most vets now, work from 8 till 6, and then their phones go through to us, and we'll then see the animal, see the client, and send the history and the patients back to their regular primary care vets the next day, or whenever they're healthy enough to go.
And Louis, how many practices have you got? You've got more than one?
Well, there's two just up there. There's a general practice, and there's the referral and after hours emergency clinic. They're in the same building but different practices.
Okay. And you as a businessman, is that something that you're good at, or are you better at fixing dogs and cats?
I think I'm better at fixing dogs and cats. I learnt a long time ago to do what you're good at, and to get other people in to do the things that need to be done that you're not so good at. And I think that's where I see people let themselves down, is by not getting the right people into the right spots. And when you first start, you think you're able to do everything, and you think you're saving money, but ultimately it's a costly exercise because you get things wrong. Yeah.
You mentioned your wages bill. Would that be your biggest overhead, do you think?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wages and then inventory.
Right. And has the cost of drugs and treatment and things, has that gone through the roof as well?
Yeah. Drugs just constantly. It's like a loaf of bread. It just keeps going up.
Yeah. I just want to go back and talk about things like compassion fatigue. Like, how do you said you've been at it for a long time, some of your colleagues struggle a little bit more. How do you find the right balance so that your clients are feeling like they're being heard, but you're I don't know, rolling your eyes and saying, no hope for this one, love, or do you just not work like that?
Oh, I've always worked, I mean, people want the truth, and they want it delivered in a compassionate, empathetic way. And when you do that, people are coming to you for advice. That's why they're there, and they want your advice. And if you deliver it in the right way, then they will take it. I mean, they're under no obligation to take it, but I think that sometimes where having some experience may be beneficial. If someone's hearing it from someone who they perceive as having more experience than someone else, they might be more inclined to believe what they say. And again, that's where if you've known someone for 20 years and you've got that relationship, then it's an easier discussion, because you're having it almost on the level of a friend rather than having it just with someone you don't know, which is why I always just talk to the girls about actually going in and finding out something about the person as well as the pet.
Just explore that a little bit for me. Who are the girls?
Oh, most of my vets now are girls.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because I read that something like 70 to 80% of people who go
more than that now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you say to your colleagues, specifically, try and sort of build a relationship with
I talk about building a rapport with the client, and it's not a business move. Everyone wins out of it. It's a better experience for you and the client, and then ultimately the pet, which is another reason why I think general practice can be more rewarding than emergency, in that you're going into a less stressful situation where you can actually spend 15 or 20 minutes having a chat to someone about them, their children, what they've been doing, while you're also looking at the pet.
What about, I know that you say it's actually better because you have a relationship with these people. What about where you're quoting them for surgery and things, and it's 15,000, 20,000? How does that go? Is there a certain pressure because you know them to not charge them what you think it's actually going to cost? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my old business mentors a long time ago said that things would be a whole lot easier if you never had to discuss money with people you knew. And that's certainly true. But it's not only that, it's just the most difficult conversation that vets have, and I don't think the public realise that. We don't want to have to charge $3,000 to do something, but if you don't, then the service is not going to be there. Those big bills you talk about, like $15,000 and $20,000, they're not being there. You're not going to get that bill in Toowoomba. You might get close to $15,000 if you had a bulldog that was being ventilated for a week, something hugely time-consuming and labour-intensive. But certainly, if you go to Brisbane and if your dachshund does an intervertebral disc, they're quoting $12,000 to $14,000 to fix that, and it's an astronomically large amount of money. I don't know how anyone does it, particularly if they don't have pet insurance.
So, pet insurance, people should have pet insurance.
They should. It's a bit of a slow burn because the premiums aren't cheap, and again, if you're looking at saving money, then that's probably one of the areas where people probably don't take the insurance up. But it's like all insurances, when you don't need it, you wonder why you're paying it. But all of a sudden, if your dog gets cleaned up by a truck, it's nice to have it.
Well, I think it's only today that health insurance has gone up 4-point-something%.
Yeah, so something like that, it just sneaks up without you knowing. It's just some direct debit, and next thing you know, yeah.
That's right, and then to be certain about what you're covered for in terms of replacements and things. I'll just remind the listeners that they're on 102.7 FM. I'm Megan O'Hara-Sullivan. This is Big Little Small Talk, and we're talking to Louis Gilshenan, who's a local vet. Now, Louis, you grew up in Toowoomba?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I heard it rumoured that your father was the school principal. Is that true?
He was a deputy principal at Toowoomba East for a long time, and Mum was a teacher at Fairholme for forever.
Well, do you know, I did hear also that the children of two teachers are supposed to be the most brilliant children of all. So what do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, it's actually, it's interesting. My brother was Dux at grammar, and people think that was me, and I often don't correct them on it.
Yeah, well, they don't need correcting. So who else is, besides your smart brother, who else is there in the family?
We've just got I've got two brothers.
Right, two brothers, yeah. And where are you on that lineup?
I'm in the middle.
Oh, middle child. What stimulated your interest in becoming a vet? Can you remember?
I always wanted to be a vet. Mum and Dad were both from agricultural backgrounds. Dad was from Charleville, Mum was from Surat, and we spent a lot of time particularly at Surat, and just had an interest in animals from there, and I was one of the fortunate ones, I guess, who knew what they wanted to do at school, went from school to vet, and I've got my eldest child's 17 now, and it's only then that you really realise how fortunate you are that you knew what you wanted to do at that age, because most people don't.
Well, I think there has to be a better system than flicking through the QTAC book. You know, I flick through the QTAC book, my kids flick through the QTAC book. There has to be a better system, and I'm sure that all of those guidance officers are out there saying, there is a better system, but...
Well, most of the vets that work for me, very few of them went from school into vet. Most of them did another degree. There's a lot of mature age vets graduating now, whereas when I went through, there would have only been one or two.
What sort of size cohort did you have?
I think I had about 80.
Okay, yeah. And so you were at Gatton?
No, it was back in Brisbane when I went.
Yeah. And what sort of people were they? Like, you still catch up with them regularly, I see.
Yes, yeah. No, we
you made really firm friendships in that.
We absolutely, yeah. A real mixture of people.
Mostly country people?
No. Lots of Brisbane private school girls did it. Lots of people from country Victoria came up. It was easier to get into Queensland than Melbourne. So a lot of my friends are from Victoria. Just a real mixture of people.
What do you think, why do you think you sort of formed such really tight friendships with those people? Was it just spending that amount of time?
Yeah, you spent back then you spent huge, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day in a lecture theatre with the same people. And I think that's what people don't realise now with all of this online learning, what they're missing out on. The camaraderie was just, it was incredible, and it doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, people can do a whole vet degree now and nearly know no one else in the degree.
How do you get on though with your practical stuff for doing vet, a lot of the stuff, instead of being a hands-on?
Well, I think now that's one thing that probably has improved. But back then you used to have to do a certain number of weeks. We used to call it prac work. So I think 8 to 10 weeks you'd go and work in vet clinics, and we were certainly more dangerous coming out as vets back then than they are now. We were far less well trained and less proficient.
Yeah. So you're quite happy with your students that you're getting now?
In some respects, yeah. They probably know more, but it'd probably be fair to say they've got worse communication skills.
Oh, really? Why is that? Just a younger generation?
I think, some of them are great, but I think collectively they're a bit more awkward. Yeah.
You didn't look around your graduating class and marry a vet? No.
My wife's she worked in HR for the government. She got a arts degree with psychology, and it wasn't that silly.
It's been known to happen once.
Oh, lots of times. Yeah,
that's right. So, when you were sort of studying and thinking about what you're going to become or where you're going to practice, at that stage, was your head filled with a country practice and things like that? Or?
Yeah, certainly. I was always going to go into mixed practice. Yeah, just.
I was thinking more the TV show, but
No, nothing like that. But just, most of us back then were just itching to get out and into semi-rural areas.
Right.
Yeah.
And why is that? Is it because working in suburbia is just really cats and dogs, and at least sort of here you might see some cows, and do you go and do that?
I don't anymore. I did for 20 years. I stopped back in probably 2020, I think. We stopped doing large animals.
So when you get an inquiry from clients, you say, no, we don't do large animals?
Yeah, we get very few inquiries now because of that. But I've still got a number of cattle clients that I still see, but the practice doesn't do. Which it's a real issue around the Darling Downs. I suppose most people on the Darling Downs, particularly with cattle, there's a lot of hobby farmers now, whereas 20 years ago there were lots and lots of dairies. I think my first job we had about sort of 80 or 90 dairies on our list, and it just gradually, wilted away with the price of milk and things. Lots of horses around the Darling Downs. I've never been that interested in equine work, so the guys out at Oakey do a lot of that, and there's a few mobile horse guys, so lots of work around for them.
I'll just read you a quote of someone who knows you quite well. He said your nickname's Cougar, so we'll come back to that. Cougar. He said he's a great vet, feels at home elbow deep in cows.
Oh, used to, yeah. I don't anymore, yeah.
Another thing he said was he likes a rum and coke and drops the easiest catches in cricket.
Okay. That could be any number of people. That I have dropped some easy catches.
Do you play cricket now?
Oh, I've just stopped because I've just re-injured I've done both my bicep tendons playing cricket and shoulders, so my wife doesn't want me to play anymore. So I'll wait and see, but I'm on the...
No more dropping the easy ones.
No, well,
or the hard ones.
I drop all of them. The easy ones, hard ones.
What about the drinking of the rum and coke? When does that come about?
Fairly frequently. Well, I've moved off the coke. I just drink rum neat now.
Oh, right. Just too much on the hips, I suppose. Yeah.
But,
and tell me then about the nickname Cougar.
Oh, that's an old one. That's from... I think that's... I'm trying to think who told you this.
I can reveal all my sources at the end of the
someone
interview.
from university cricket will be John Littleproud or Harrison Humphreys or someone. Well...
No,
okay.
Doesn't matter. Keep
right.
The nickname Cougar.
Well, I've had badly injured knees at playing rugby as a young man, and as a result of that, they've never been right. So... I'm not the quickest runner, so it all was to do with that. Those ads with that Cougar guy with the bourbon or something. Anyway, we went from there. It's an old university cricket name.
Oh, because the other thing, I don't know that I read that out, was he's a horrendously slow runner.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Horrendously slow.
That's how it all started.
So do Cougars run horrendously
Well,
slowly?
I think this one did. It's like what most of those nicknames. It evolved. Yeah, and it just happened to stick.
Tell me about COVID and what happened with people's animals. And recently we interviewed on this show another lovely girl called Eliza Lebson, who is a dog behavioural therapist, and she talked about COVID and how our relationship with our animals sort of changed, and we humanised them a lot, and then there was all the separation anxiety. Do you see a lot of that?
I don't know that it was COVID. That certainly over the last 10 years has the difference that we as families place on our on our pets now. It's and they are a member of the family. There's just no two ways about it. It may have been exacerbated in COVID, but it was coming before COVID.
Why do you think that is?
Oh well,
what's your theory?
I just think it's amazing what. I mean, I'm probably more a dog person than a cat, but I do understand that people can have the same sort of affection for a cat. But dogs, they just offer you unconditional love. It's they don't care what's going on. They're happy to see you. All you've got to do is give them a pat and a bit of food, and they're yours. And they're I think they're an amazing animal in that I do think they can pick up on moods and things like that. And I know if we've got a lovely old Labrador, and he just pokes around to whoever he thinks needs his affections the most. But not that dogs weren't always like that, but I think more dogs live inside now as well, which I think people are being able to see, they've got personalities rather than the dog that lives outside and gets a bit of food thrown to it. So I think that's a big part of it. The small dogs have taken over the world, so I guess again that means that they're more able to be inside and spending more time with people. But dogs are certainly more anxious than they used to be.
Are they?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
so
I
interesting.
think part of it's the breeding. A lot of oodles, whether they be cavoodles or whatever moodles, they're probably on a bit more on the anxious side. I don't know whether it's a breed thing or whether it is just the fact that they are now living inside, and then as a result of that, when someone's not there, they think, hang on a minute. Whereas dogs in years gone by used to be used to their own company.
Yeah.
But I'm not an animal behaviouralist by any means.
Yeah. Does your practice do any of that sort of thing?
Well, not if we can help it.
Oh,
No.
is it a bit woo-woo, do you reckon?
Oh, no. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. I'm a little bit old school.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about, say, like your relationship to your animals and, say, your clients, which sounds like it's maybe even a little step further compared to, say, like your grandparents who were out on the farm at Sarad or whatever. Like, have older people sort of embraced the whole, not the love of animals, but just the softening, I guess.
They have
them,
now.
yeah.
I mean, if you'd seen how my grandfather was with dogs, you'd never. They were working dogs.
Animals, yeah.
They weren't disposable, but they certainly that's what they were. They had a purpose, and that was what they were there for. But I look at my own parents who grew up with that mentality. They've now got a Cavalier, a King Charles Cavalier that just absolutely rules their life.
Really? Yeah.
So we see lots of older people who I'm sure in their youth would have been shocked if they'd been able to look forward and see the way that they were they had a dog sitting on their lap watching Tipping Point. Yeah.
Do you personally have any thing where you just say, no, that's too far, the dog can't sleep on the bed?
Oh, absolutely. Dogs
can't...
on the bed, that's ridiculous.
Is
but
it?
I think so, yeah. Well, that's me. Yeah.
What about sort of kissing dogs?
Oh, I'm not a big fan of kissing dogs, but each to their own.
Yeah. But you must see people who come in that you just think, oh.
I see absolute lunatics every day.
Right.
Every day, yeah.
If you don't want to be branded a lunatic, don't
Well,
go to
not
the
in a
Louise
vet.
Crack.
If someone in a vet clinic's calling you a lunatic, then you really are. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So you were saying before about your lab seems to be able to sense, who in the family needs a little bit of.
I think so. You spoke. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the notion of dogs being able to detect cancers?
Oh, I mean, they've got incredible. Senses of smell. Whether they can pick up cancers, I don't know.
Yeah. So you put that in the woo-woo category too?
No, not necessarily. No. No, I think there's probably some truth to it. Yeah.
And what about the whole companion animal thing now? What's your views on that?
Well, as in, what's the term everyone uses? Yeah, like a...
Assistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, traditionally your assistance dog was a guide dog. If you didn't have it, you'd walk into the wall. People will come in now, using the assistance dog, and it's just a normal dog. It's just a pet, but they like it, so I think it's an assistance dog.
But has it moved into the sort of space of the mental health space?
Oh, absolutely,
I guess?
yeah. And that is I don't know what credentials these dogs need to be legitimately called one of those, but that is a wonderful thing for a dog to be used for, is is mental health, whether they be old, lonely people who've lost their spouse, or children with autism, or whatever. It's, as I said, that what a pet can give you, it's unconditional, whereas the same thing can't be said for a person. So I think whether or not it's an official title, I think it's just the most wonderful thing for people less fortunate to be able to have a pet, and it makes their life so much better, I'm sure.
What are your thoughts on things like cockatiels as companion animals and stuff like that? Or you no judgment, it's just whatever works for you?
Yeah, whatever works for you. Yeah.
Do you... I've lost my train of thought, Leroy. You'll just have to cut that out there. Thanks for tuning in. You're on Big Little Small Talk. I'm Megan O'Hara-Sullivan, and we're talking to the local vet called Louis Gilshenan. Louis, why do you think that more women go in to become vets than men now? You said you think it's up over 70 or 80%.
Oh, well, I'm not sure. Well, firstly, I mean, they're wonderful, wonderful vets. The best large animal vets I've ever seen have been females. So it's not just, they can't just do dogs and cats. I suppose traditionally out of the sexes, they're potentially more empathetic. Having said that, they've also got the highest rate of leaving the profession for various reasons. I think it's a good job to, like a lot of other things, they can have families and come back part-time. We've got a number of part-time mums, so that's one aspect. And I guess too that at the end of the day, it's quite hard to get into vet because it's a popular course with a small cohort, and I think, I hate to say it, but girls might be a bit smarter. So
you can say that. That's all right. That was pretty good, actually. Yeah,
they get in. They get into the course. Yeah.
I know that you talked when you were doing your ABC stuff. You talked about malicious poisoning. Is that something that happens very often?
No, very rarely.
Right.
99% of people that ring me and say their pet's being baited, it hasn't been.
Oh, no. So why would people ring up?
I don't know. They just they think it has been. I guess it's just a lack of knowledge. I think back in the old days, someone might throw a bit of rat bait over your fence, but I can't think of the last time there was a malicious poisoning.
Yeah. And what about the rise of snake bites for animals? Is that something that's worrying or not?
I don't know. It seems to be a little bit different between seasons, but yeah, from October through to December, we just see lots of them.
Is there anything that people can do? I mean, apart from keeping the grass down and that sort of thing? A lot of country guys swear by those solar snake detectors. Some people don't. A lot of people use that chicken wire type netting that catches them. I'm not sure that it's legal, but a lot of people use that. Right. What are your thoughts on the the buzzers, the electrical buzzers for keeping dogs in?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't use one on my own dog. I see a lot of problems with them too. They get too tight and they cause really bad wounds to the front of their throat. So,
jury's out a bit, you reckon?
They again, if used in an appropriate way, I'm sure they're fine.
I know that you probably get asked this question all the time, and I know it's a real cliche. It's a bit like asking the doctors whether they've seen a cadaver. But what's the most unusual animal that you ever had to treat?
Probably had to stitch up a brown snake once.
Well, I was going to ask you about the snakes. Does anyone ever come in with the snake?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Not saying this is the one that bit me
or
bit
it. It did often. They're usually dead by the time they've usually sorted them out with a shovel and then present them to you in a bucket.
Not that I'm anti-snake. I'm not. Yeah. Right. And is that helpful? Or it doesn't really matter?
No, it is helpful. I mean, the anti-venom you use now does black and brown anyway, but certainly the way that the case might progress is influenced whether it's a brown or a black.
Right, okay. How it will progress, not the treatment.
The treatment's the same, but the likely events that might follow the anti-venom and things. Black snakes tends to be a longer, slower burn, the venom, so they're often in hospital a bit longer.
And when you say the hospital, this is your facility, obviously,
Yeah.
the 24-hour.
Yeah.
And how many sort of animals can you facilitate?
Oh, on a busy summer, I can take over. I've had up to sort of 28 or 30 animals in hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have to sort of keep them all sedated, or are they?
No. Some of them are sedated, depending on on their temperament or what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
No, most animals aren't sedated as such.
Yeah. So they're not all trying to attack each other or anything.
No, they're in different. Yeah, they're all in different cages.
They're not
yeah.
just all in a
No, they're not
room
just-
together.
no,
No, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
What about things like, treating stingrays or something like
No,
that?
I don't.
No.
There'd be. They're down at SeaWorld and that. There's people into that thing. Yeah.
I once interviewed this lovely girl who was a pet burier. She buried pets,
Okay.
and she had been asked to do an imprint of a stingray for someone onto like a plaster cast sort of thing. Yeah,
okay.
interesting. Yeah.
That might fall into the lunatic category.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a serious question. How true is this? Pure white cats with blue eyes are often deaf.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and white cats often deaf. White boxers and things like that are.
Is it an albinism type of thing? No?
Oh, some genetic error.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. What I'm really interested in is the subspecialties of vet, like ophthalmology. Do you have many ophthalmology vets come here?
No. So the vet has certainly followed along the human lines with specialty. There's specialist surgeons, there's medicine specialists, there's ophthalmologists, dermatologists, there's a neurologist. Mostly it's either internal medicine or surgery. There's only one or two eye clinics. They're very hard. There's a cardiology. I guess the problem, particularly when I came through, was you end up sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. But things are getting more specialised. And even though I said that I really enjoy general practice, I do have a particular interest in emergency and critical care. But that's not to say that doesn't come through general practice. Quite often.
Explain that to me. Do you mean more where dogs?
Well, dogs can get
cats,
sick.
Yeah.
Dogs can get sick at any time. Most of the things I see through after hours aren't emergencies.
Right.
The dog's had a bad ear and the person's decided that 9 o'clock at night's the time that he wants it looked at. Obviously, you get lots of your ticks and your snakes and you're hit by cars, but but again, you will pick those up through a general practice as well.
Yeah. Have you ever seen dogs with little like wheelchairy?
Oh, a couple of them, yeah.
Do you make those for people?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, if you've got a dog that can't use its back legs, then it's probably not going to be able to urinate or defecate, and then it's your chronic urinary tract infections. It's again, I think that's one of those occasions where it's nice to have a relationship with that person where you can sit down with them and just say, "Who are you doing this for?"
All right. Is that sort of where the nut at the hub of it?
That's my view on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever treat like kangaroos and koalas?
We see lots of kangaroos, lots of koalas. The koalas get flicked past straight away down to the koala vets down around Wakehole and that there. So we'll just triage them and give them pain relief. And there's lots of wildlife carers around, so we'll make that decision when they come in whether they can be saved or whether they need to be humanely euthanized. But lots and lots of wildlife, huge numbers of birds.
Birds. Say in that instance, like if they do have to be euthanized, who pays for that?
No one. Well, we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is then a source of frustration when complaints come through from people, from the public, and you think, well, I'm doing this out of the goodness, out of trying to do the humane thing by the animal.
Yeah.
No, none of that's subsidised. The RSPCA aren't part of that.
Right.
Yeah. But
So
it's, in all honesty, it's not a huge expense. You're paying those people to be there anyway. But
right. The drugs and things.
drugs. It's
Yeah.
I've
Right.
never had a huge issue with. I think as a vet, it's one of those things that it's an expectation that you do it, and I don't have a huge problem with it.
Yeah. What do you? How do you? I'm trying to ask you a question about vet services for the homeless people. How does that work?
I'm not sure. Obviously, I see the whole spectrum of society, and it always amazes me that often the people that do most for their animals are the ones that you think probably haven't necessarily got the money to do it. They just prioritise the animal differently. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many homeless people have pets. I mean, I don't like to say. We do lots of stuff for free.
Pro bono,
Just people come in. If they haven't got any money, they haven't got any money, and it's not. That's some.
Well, we won't advertise that. But
No, I mean, we're not going to go and do surgery. I mean, but if someone turns up with an animal, we have a look at it.
To balance it, yeah. So, Louis, in your life, what do you think is the biggest risk you've ever taken, personally and professionally?
Oh, well, certainly professionally was starting this 24-hour clinic, huge.
And has it paid off, do you think?
It's been an amazing business and amazing experience.
Would you do it again?
I wouldn't do it now again. Well, I mean, it was the right thing to do, but it was a massive undertaking, huge weeks. It affects your, you spend sort of 80, 90 hours a week every week. When we first started, Dave and I he's my business partner, we were just doing sort of 12 hours on, 12 hours off. It was relentless.
Yeah. This is an unusual question, but if someone gave you an envelope with your death date inside it, would you open it, Louis? My thoughts are no, but if it was in front of me, I don't know if I could help myself. So I don't know. Yes.
I'd like to say no, but I'm not convinced I wouldn't have a quick peek. It might be tomorrow.
You might just say, that's right. Just seal it off with a little bit of the kettle and then seal it back up again. Yeah. What about, what's your idea of the perfect day?
I love going into work at about sort of 5 o'clock in the morning, seeing the overnight guys and just seeing what they've had in and give them a hand with that. And then I suppose my ideal, I mean, I love work. I really do, and I'm fortunate that I do. So my ideal day at work would be to see a few emergencies and then go in and see 8 or 10 people that I know in a general practice, do some surgery, see some sick animals, and then I suppose try to get a mix of then being at home, just having a chat to the sort of wife and the kids. I've always been very much during the week. I've been mainly at work. I've always tried to have Saturdays off. Saturdays I love going to watch the kids play sport, cricket and netball. I'm big on mowing the yard but.
So it's not lying on a beach in Ibiza or anything like that?
No. I do. I love fishing. That's my passion away from work. So each year I try to do a proper fishing trip.
Where do you go to, and with who?
Go with
these guys who call you Cougar. I
don't. Since I've stopped cricket, I don't have as much to do with those guys. Go fishing with Dave from work and another mate called Jack Daniels, who used to do cattle work with me. So we head up north to Darwin and go to the Tiwi Islands every year.
Right. Is there a weird feeling about catching fish when you're a vet?
No,
not at
particularly
all.
up there, they all get let go.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, all
Why
catch
is
and
that?
Oh, it's a sport fishing thing. They keep the odd barramundi, but they've got to be very specific size just to eat. But 99% of them get let go.
Yeah. Can you catch a fish and then it survives all of that?
It
Obviously?
seems, yeah. I think it depends on the depth they get brought out of. Those, if you catch those snapper and that in deeper water, I think they're not going to go so well, so they keep those. But all your barramundi get let go.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Who's been the most influential person in your life, Louis?
I suppose if I look personally and then professionally, that personally it's got to be my parents. You don't realise at the time the sacrifices they must have made as teachers to put 3 boys through boarding school, college, and I still remember now sitting there watching them at night, sitting at the table with the checkbook and as you don't. And we never wanted for anything. Had a wonderful upbringing, and now I look at them as grandparents. And Dad in particular, he's very even-tempered, and he's probably taught me to be less. I suppose just to let the kids be who they are. Yeah, which is. Yeah, I always sort of say to my kids, just do as well as you can. But he's been good. I suppose Mum's a bit more like me, a bit more, possibly a bit more driven. But Dad's been a wonderful influence just to let the kids be who they are. Yeah.
So you mentioned your really smart brother. What does he do?
Oh, he's some sort of finance hedge fund. I don't really understand what it is.
And what does the other brother do?
He's a physiotherapist. Yeah.
And so you're sort of with this allied health vet's not allied health, but yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you go to boarding school?
We're at Toowoomba Grammar.
So were your parents living here?
Yeah, we were. We were day boys. Yeah, but
Yeah.
So, but no, it's a massive commitment parents make for their children, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Yeah, and the kids don't realise it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you don't do it unless
No, and
I used to say to my
professionally, I've just got a mentor who actually taught me at uni, who now still works with us, a gentleman called Terry King, who's just a most amazing person, an amazing vet. So he's been my sort of professional mentor, I'd say. Yeah.
How often would you check in with him, do you think?
Oh, 3 or 4 times a week.
Is it just to sort of throw ideas around and say, what would you have done in this situation?
It is, yeah, but it is, but it's more, you don't just ring him and get advice on cases. He doesn't mind a chat, so he's retired, so things can, yeah, but no, he's someone that you'd ask life advice on as well. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have that person other than a parent in
It is
life.
probably, yeah.
Do you think that you're that person to someone else?
I'm not sure. Certainly the girls and you know the associates probably ask you stuff vet related. I suppose they'll often ask advice if they're going to buy a house or, so I suppose I am to an extent, yeah.
It's great when you've got a mentor because you think that's wonderful for me, but when someone asks you sort of, not in a formal sense, but they think that you might like to be their mentor, I always think, no, I'm too young. I'm not old enough. That makes me feel really old.
I suppose, as I said, I'm probably a professional mentor to some of them. And, you try to probably keep out of people's personal lives a little bit unless they ask you specifically. Yeah, that's something over 20 odd years I've learned.
Yeah.
You do need to have that bit of a
professional
a bit of a gap,
boundary between you.
Yeah.
And for your children, what do you sort of, what you just want them to do the best that they can, you say?
I mean, you want them to be happy, don't you? And I mean,
well, I did read somewhere that, saying, what does it mean you want them to be happy? What does that mean? You
well,
want them to be challenged.
As I look at it now, I want them to get up and want to go to school. That obviously it means they've got a friend group. It means they're not getting bullied. But I do talk to them about I don't care how you go. Everyone's got different skills and abilities, but it's nice if you can sit back after something's happened and know that you did the best you could. And that's a problem I do have with them. which is where I'm different to my wife. She's more easygoing with them.
Yeah.
We've probably got a little bit of an old-fashioned home life where we're in a fortunate position where Julie's been able to be a stay-at-home mum, so the kids have probably got a different relationship with her than they do with me.
Yeah, and I mean that's true of all parents, isn't it? Yeah, and the luxury of having two parents where sometimes one person has to play that same role.
And again, people often say, oh, you know, were you given anything? And you sort of like to say no, but then when you think about it, having a stable upbringing with two loving parents, it's you don't realise when you've got it what it means.
You give them a lot. Are you much of a reader? Doesn't sound like you got time to read.
No, not. I'd never have been, if I'm honest. I read a Bruce Springsteen book a while ago, but that's about it.
Oh, deep.
Well, everything's online now, isn't it? I mean, 99% of what I read now is veterinary.
Yeah.
And even I've got a few textbooks I go to, but most of it's journals online. Yeah.
Julie, he's married to his work, I'll tell you. Now, what about the royals? Do you get into the royals?
Not a lot, no.
No. Do you have a favourite royal?
I reckon old Philip was good, and I like Charles.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think Charles is a bit of a character.
What do you like about Charles?
I just think if he wasn't the king or wasn't prince, he'd actually be probably a pretty funny guy. Yeah, he looks
in a weird kind of a way.
Yeah, well, I don't know how weird. Can you imagine what an awful life he must have led being like? Yeah.
And what about Philip? What was it about Philip?
Same thing. I thought of some of the things I've been known to say the odd inappropriate thing, and I just think the world's it's hard now, and everyone's so sensitive. And you look in a workplace now, you've got 60 people. It's really, really hard. You've got such a broad spectrum of society, which is great, but when you grew up in schools and in a time where things like teasing were completely normal, and it showed that you were part of the group, I'm not quite sure. There's such a fine line between teasing and bullying, and I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I find that difficult in a modern workplace to get that balance right often.
Yeah, I know, and all of the woke being thrown around and the politically correct. Well, there's a lot of things that shouldn't have ever been said, and
absolutely. Yeah. Like you look at what things got said and done back in the 80s, even 90s. It's
hard to navigate.
It is very hard to navigate. Yeah, absolutely. I can see how people end up in trouble, even though their intentions were nothing like.
So what about the song that can't keep you off the dance floor, Louis?
I'm not a big dancer, but love Bruce Springsteen. Yeah,
what's your go-to Springsteen song?
Oh, I've got lots of that. Badlands, Downbound Train. I love Bruce Springsteen.
Have you ever seen Springsteen?
We saw him live, yep. I thought my wife was going to get his harmonica at one stage, but he gave it to someone else.
Oh, so close. Yeah.
He has become a little bit left wing for me now.
Oh, that's why I like him. Suddenly I've become a Springsteen fan when I see
That's
him.
not entirely true. I think a lot of what he says is really,
Yeah, but they talk about him as being an incredible work ethic and such a brilliant songwriter.
Yeah, I mean 76 I think he is, and I think he's just an amazing performer, and again the one book I have read was on him. Just like all of those people, the knockbacks they get early on, and they just keep getting up, and it's pretty inspiring.
You don't think he was ever described as a horrendously slow runner?
He could have been,
but he's a pacer. He
I've got a lot of time for Bruce Springsteen.
Louis, we've run out of time, but that's been lovely. It's been a real joy hearing your story and hearing what you do for the community. So thank you very much for being my guest on Big Little Small Talk.
No problems at all.
That's it for this week. Thanks for joining me on Big Little Small Talk. I hope you can make the time to join me next week. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favourite podcast app.
You've been listening to a 102.7 FM Toowoomba original podcast. For more podcasts or to listen to live and local Toowoomba radio, please visit 1027.com.au or listen on iHeartRadio and Community Radio Plus apps.